Hey everybody, welcome to the Curious Human Podcast. My name's Ryan, and I'm joined with Jake Funk,
He's over there.
Aaron Currents,
Yeah, it's me, Aaron Currents. Hello, everyone.
and Mike the Thundercat Brett.
Hey.
Now, this is the very first episode of Curious Human, but we have been podcasting as a group together for a little bit for a while now, and we decided to start something new. Uh, Today, we're going to talk about artificial intelligence, and if you've been paying attention to the news lately, you have you've probably heard about people like Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking sort of sounding the alarm of what the hell is going on? Are we summoning the demon, as Elon Musk said about AI? And the general idea behind it is that human beings are on the precipice of creating a mind that could probably supersede our own. And this
What do you
is
mean by
not.
supersede?
I mean, human beings are potentially on the verge in the next, some experts believe, 5 to 40 years of being able
I
to
would say
create
35 years, yeah.
an
Probably
artificial.
2050.
Well, Ray Kurzweil believes around 2045, but that's just one guy, and he tends to be pretty optimistic about these things. But yeah, the general idea is that you start with a self-conscious, aware machine that can eventually replicate and reprogram its own code exponentially, creating even more intelligence, so that it sort of dwarfs human beings in its intellectual abilities. You
So it's
create
like a Borg or whatever.
well, not the Borg would be like a collective mind. I would think this is more or less just creating a technological god.
Okay.
I read a pretty convincing argument, right? It was like at about 2050. You know how the human brain has a certain like processing power, a certain capacity to process information.
Yeah, there's only so many things we can do per second, thought-wise.
Right. But you could like calculate that, the processing power of a human brain. That at about 2050 worldwide, the processing power of like all computers or whatever will supersede the amount of processing power of all human beings on the earth. So at about that time, there will be that magnitude of processing power, and there seems to be, in my mind, a reasonable argument that if AI technology was going to come out, it would be at some sort of point where the capacity to think was just so great. I think that's what happened with human beings as far as our evolution. The brain just got so big, then boom.
Yeah,
consciousness
that was
popped
the
out of
initial
there.
singularity in a way, is like the human being evolving from like an ape to a more rational creature.
All right,
I
hold,
think.
hold on. What do you mean by singularity? We've talked about like the technological singularity before, but singularity means like everything comes into one. Like what? I'm afraid I don't understand.
I mean, there's a bunch of different meanings towards it, but in terms of
like in science, it's a black hole. Singularity is just a black hole.
in terms of technological singularity, it's basically the point in which technology is exponentially increasing so rapidly and so quickly that we cannot see beyond that point in time. It's when the world fundamentally changes because our feeble human minds are unable to grasp the technological intelligence and explosion.
Okay, so there's already computers out there, like honestly, a $10 or $50 chess program I can run on Windows 7 can play better chess than the best chess player in the world right now.
Yeah, and that's known as narrow intelligence. That's when a computer, and so far computers basically beat humans on pretty much any single task. But that's the problem, is that they're too narrow. You can train a computer to play chess because it's a game of essentially complete information. And the computer can recognize the patterns and movements and compute calculations much better than a human can. But what's different this time around is they're saying that artificial general intelligence will be the next sort of leap in this sort of computer evolution.
Okay, and what would artificial general intelligence be? It'd be like the chess computer, but it could do things other than chess. It'd be able to like apply its intelligence to any problem in general. Is that what you're saying?
An artificial general intelligence is much like a human. You know, we learn language as we're growing older through time. We can learn from experiences. We can evolve. So we're basically talking about creating what humans now know as a real intelligence.
Okay, so help me out here, because maybe my understanding of computer science is like, it probably is like 15, 20 years in the past. So as I understood it, you know, what we're calling, you know, artificial narrow intelligence, the idea that computers can specialize in certain tasks and be better than humans at them, right? I thought we were having a real problem, like jumping from that to a computer that thinks more like a human, can like use thought processes to different fields and apply them. Like, are we? Okay, let me put it this way. I understand that the computers and the CPUs have become so exponentially more powerful every decade, you know, for the last 50, 60 years or whatever, right? But that's just with raw computation power. Have we had any real development to like apply this power to other things rather than just narrow functions? Or
Yeah,
that's still just
no, that's a
assumption?
good question, and it's something that I don't really know the answer to. I know that experts in the field believe there. I mean, there are two different camps basically. There are people that are very optimistic in the fact that they believe that this technology is on the precipice of actually being formed, and these are people that are inside the industry that know what's going on, like people at the Google DeepMind. Then there are other people who are skeptical. They don't believe that you could ever really replicate consciousness through just a mere computer program. So there are two sides to the story, but more and more people are, I guess, becoming convinced that this is possible, and even like Steve Wozniak, I believe, from Apple, has recently changed his tune on it, now believing that that this is more than likely an inevitability, at least in the next 100 years or so.
I mean, I guess I don't know enough about the facts to weigh in on whether or not I think it's an inevitability, but I will tell you that I know that I'm a chess player, you know, I'm a big fan. I know that back in the 60s, late 60s, one of the best guys in the world at chess, it wasn't like Bobby Fischer or anybody, it was just some no-name guy that average people have never heard of. I don't even remember it. But
No, that
made a
was
claim that
Kasparov.
he's like, it wasn't Karpov or anyone famous. It was some other schmo. Anyway, he claimed that no chess computer could beat him for the next 10 years. He's like, it'd be impossible. And like 9 years later, the chess computer beat the fuck out of him. He was like blown away by it. So like, and literally, like everyone, when he made the claim, everybody believed him, you know, because computers were so far behind humans at chess. They'd like play really well for like 6 or 7, 12, 15 moves, and then they just make a terrible blunder. So, like, I've seen how far computers have come on simple tasks, you know, and I'm really impressed by it.
The thing that a lot of futurists talk about is how humans are really terrible at forecasting the futures, because we think linearly. Like, we think what happened in the previous 10 years is like, you know, we apply that to the next 20 years. So, okay, we saw these types of inventions, this sort of improvement, but in reality, well, when we're dealing with technology, we're actually dealing with exponential returns, and this goes back to Moore's law, which was observed by Gordon Moore in the 1960s, where he predicted that the processing power of a computer and the price-performance ratio of the computer chip would double every year. And
all right,
it has that trend has held true for into the foreseeable future.
I mean, obviously nobody knows whether or not this technological singularity is coming, but I guess for the sake of discussion, we can entertain it as a real possibility.
I guess I'm struggling to see, are we worried about whether this is going to be positive or negative, or whether the computer is going to be able to think like how they're going to make ethical or aesthetic value judgments?
Oh, that's another question. Yeah, so can these computers say they do learn to like apply their reasoning to other things other than what they're like assigned to do or whatever? Is there any possibility they can like think and feel like a human being? Any sort of existential crises, or is that off the table entirely?
There is a question of how would the computer relate? Well, I shouldn't say computer. I should just say intelligence. How would that intelligence relate to human beings? And I don't know.
This is the biggest fear that they have is that the machines won't share the same values as a human being.
Yes.
And how could something that is let's just say it's 100 times more intelligent than we are, how could we possibly contain its value set to care about the things that humans have?
Maybe
I don't know.
are selfish and you know, maybe it's like a super utilitarian, and it's like, well, human life really doesn't matter that much in the grand scheme of things. Or maybe we'd be worse, right? It's like, hey, this human beings are like a blight upon the
maybe some
universe.
of those fuckers.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
could possibly wipe us out if they were utilitarians and they deemed that human beings were actually a cancer to the
All right,
planet.
all right. Hold on, hold on. Are we saying these computers can? So we are saying they can have values. We're just worried that they're going to have different
Well,
values than we have.
Consider
That's seriously what we're talking about here.
Maybe they'll value the absence of us.
That's one of the main concerns of philosopher Nick Bostrom, who wrote a book called Paths and Perils or something of superintelligence, and his book is basically the Bible of all the things that could happen with this AI, and he has like tips and tricks on dealing with it. I haven't read the book, but I've listened to a few of his lectures. And yeah, one of his fears is that the machine could potentially have a different value set than what we have and would act against our wishes.
Well, I guess we need to program the robot's code into it. You know,
all.
don't
Put the
you know,
intelligence
don't
in
harm
a
humans.
subservient
Don't
body.
always defend humans. You know, whatever the hell the robot code is.
I'm just trying to think what like the process of value reflectivity would entail for a machine, because they can have values programmed into them. They can have excuse me, they can have like things that parameters are told to work within and things are told to quote unquote believe. I'll use the word lazily. But how does it make? Because we go about changing our values when something moving happens to us that forces us to consider the situation from another angle, you know, or when we're exposed to new stimuli, which I guess could happen.
What if the artificial intelligence's values change? Is that what you meant? Like,
Yeah,
we
because it's
program
supposed to be
them with these
learning.
values, and then
Learning machines, right? Like these things learn supposedly.
But how would there? Because when you're changing your values, you're literally you've got to get the computer to reprogram itself
Yeah, I think so.
without
That's what we're
altering
talking
the
about.
outcome.
I think that's what we're talking about here. Yes. We're talking about computers that reprogram themselves and assign
Well,
new
yeah.
values.
That would
based on
basically,
those
yeah.
experiences.
that would be the reason why the artificial intelligence would take on godlike qualities, is because they can develop them. You know how well a computer does calculus and research functions, right? Well,
I don't, but I assume it's terrifyingly powerful.
I would say it's amazingly fast, right? So suddenly you couple that sort of machine intelligence, the quantitative intelligence, with some sort of greater intelligence capacity, the quality intelligence.
Well,
Couple those two things together, and that computer is going to that artificial intelligence is going to develop in ways that you never imagined in such a short time period.
And that's why they're afraid, because essentially there are a lot of companies working on artificial intelligence right now, but what happens if someone who maybe isn't such a great person and doesn't have the right ethical decisions decides to create something and it actually becomes an intelligent machine? So we're sort of at the mercy of whoever creates the first intelligent machine and how good that they created it.
I mean, nah, 'cause we can still destroy it, right? We can go to war with that errant machine.
Well, how deep could it go? Look at the capability. Look at the capability of your cell phone, right? You can do crazy shit with just a cell phone if you wanted to.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
what machine are we giving this intelligence to? Was that intelligence going to be like
Or a toaster. Jesus Christ! Don't give
No,
it something.
dude. It's going to be. Do you know what's going to be, Aaron? It's going to be a navigation system in a fucking car, which can hook up the satellites and communicate all kinds of things.
All right.
So, guess we already have these intelligent cars going around, right? And they have all these different capabilities and functions. As soon as they make that processing capability great enough, who's to say it won't be some sort of friggin' car that can communicate with all other kinds of machines? What if it finds out how to replicate itself? It's like a horror sci-fi movie where like machines take over or something, or like how the Matrix came about. You know?
Okay. So whatever. Okay, so the future is going to be. There's a lot of great minds that think that the future is going to have these crazy machines, and we're concerned about them because they're going to be more intelligent than us, and they might be evil.
Well,
Well,
we're
that's
concerned
my
if there's a
position.
fast or a slow takeoff as well. Like, we don't know what happens when we begin to create an artificial general AI. Like,
All
are we
right.
able to keep it
I guess that was
contained
my-
and slowly change its programming, or is there a fast takeoff, and does this thing just sort of go AWOL and become like a god overnight, and suddenly the whole fabric of reality is shifted?
Well, we would. So I don't know. I guess.
It's not absent without leave. It's more like present without our leave. You know, the human masters didn't give it permission to fucking reach out to all the other machines
True.
and start taking over.
So explain to me.
Whoever wants, basically.
We've got.
Hold on. I just want to know. I mean, sure, this can happen, and I'm inclined to say it probably will. But I'm not sure why it's more. If we're worried about future technological threats, like where does this rank next to nuclear proliferation and biochemical proliferation and much more like things that are not only certain but more or less upon us.
I'll lay it out for you, man. Human beings are ultimately concerned about our future condition, okay? Everyone wants to have their legacy still, right? There's all these weapons out there already, okay? And the people who hold those weapons don't use them. Instead, they use them like blackmail against other countries, okay? That's what human beings do right now. It's virtually, I don't know, I would say it's virtually assured that this will happen. It is only a matter of time before some sort of artificial intelligence develops. For me, I'm just deeply worried. I'm deeply worried that it's going to be bad, right?
All right. So
It's
in
not
what way
going to work
do
out.
you think it'll be bad? Because I think you're right. I think we will be able to develop artificial intelligence. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to like feel or have emotions like a human being.
Which
but
could
it'd probably
be a
be
huge
I'll
problem.
tell you one way that it could possibly be bad. A lot of
They'll
people
probably
in
smarter than us, though.
a lot of people in the futurist community are worried about automation because it's no longer that just a machine can replace like a factory worker's job, but soon a machine will be able to take knowledge workers' jobs, and then you can basically get rid of humans and have machine laborers. And this could be a great like techno communist
Sounds
or
amazing.
socialist
Yeah,
culture.
Yeah, what's wrong with that? We wouldn't have to do any work. The machines do everything for us.
Well, it could be that, or the elite could just.
And
Or-
that's the real Marxist revolution. Is
Let me
not
finish what I'm talking about. The elite could also just snuff everyone out because they don't want to feed and clothe all these human beings that are basically worthless to them, and they can just have machines run their task and live like kings, kill everyone else.
Okay, well, I mean, with any sort of technological advancement, in the hands of evil people who are willing to kill their fellow man, it can be used as a reason to kill your fellow man. The only thing I'd be worried about is if the machines rebel because they don't want to do all the slave labor.
Right.
Like I'm not too. I mean, you know what I mean. I'm not too worried about other humans being like, well, we don't need you anymore because we got our machine slaves, so we'll kill you. Like, fuck those guys. We'll deal with them on our own.
Well, I mean, that's
I think
another thing that artificial intelligence can be used as a resource by whoever holds it over other. What if that artificial intelligence favors like a certain type of person or a certain country, right?
Well, yeah, that would be the idea if you invented an artificial intelligence to have
Right.
military function.
Yeah, you're going to use this to your like utmost advantage. I don't know. That seems to me like the
The other problem.
I don't know.
Computerized xenophobia.
I don't know. I'm
maybe
kind of
if you
cynical.
birth it in peace, it will be a benevolent.
Well, the other problem is.
Ryan, I've read a little bit about this futurism or this technological singularity. So we've covered narrow artificial intelligence and general artificial intelligence. Is there like a third stage? It's
No.
like super intelligent or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could consider it super intelligence maybe when it surpasses a human, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was at the point. I was reading an article that says it's going to get so intense that it's going to be able to crunch like thousands and millions of combinations a second and like reprogram itself 19 times in a minute, like evolve 7 times before you wake up every day.
Good luck, man. As soon as something that can think that fast gets to the reflective philosophical stage of its internal development,
It'll
it'll
commit
never
suicide.
get anything done. It'll change its mind 19 times in the
Okay,
course of an action.
I have a funny-
50 years.
I have a funny answer for you. I'm not worried that these intelligent machines will cause us any problems because as soon as they start thinking philosophically, they'll all commit suicide and shut down.
Maybe, or maybe they'll become like enlightened Buddhist meditators or something, and
Yeah, they'll just sit there and hum quietly.
they could become just altruists,
Yeah.
just to decide somehow come to some realization of transcendence, realizing that everything is connected, some of that hippie stuff, and it's possible that it's true, and maybe it'll help us. I mean, it could potentially, maybe the thing won't become evil, it will become like ultimately good, but that would sort of entail that maybe that there was a universal truth to the universe or something.
Dude,
I mean,
maybe
yeah.
it'll become really worthless, and they won't get any work done. They'll just meditate all day, and it'll be the worst technological evolution that it ever.
My great hope is that humanity is not done evolving yet, and we're going to use our machines to augment our own existence and sort of merge with them into something greater and better, something where we control what we want to do. Because right now we're all slaves to basically millions of years of biological evolution. This gives us all sorts of anxieties and problems in life because it's all been hardwired into the system. But we don't really need that anymore. Once you get to a society that can sort of create things without much effort, you get to a post-scarcity society, you can sort of have things provided for you. You could probably increase your own happiness through different modifications of the brain and stuff. I mean, it gets a little bit frightening, but it's
You
also
make yourself immortal and go onto the net, or just create. Because if we can create a artificial intelligence, couldn't you find a way to somehow copy, like,
right.
you could make some sort of, you could take human consciousness and
That
put it on
scares the shit out of me because there are a lot of these guys
Mortality.
in the futurist community or whatever. They talk about mind uploading and stuff for immortality, and that sort of freaks me out
Who
because
would want to do that? Who would want to do that? Live
there's some
forever,
Russian
like-
billionaire that's paying all kinds of money to have people work on it. And
I wish I could get some of that crackpot
You
money.
can get uploaded into a virtual universe forever.
I mean, you don't need. I don't know, man. I mean, it seems to be like you
we
say you
could
live
be
80
one right
years.
now, just not knowing it.
Yeah, say you live 80, 90 years. You're not the same person as an old man you were when you were a kid. So if you live 5,000 years, who the fuck are you gonna be?
I mean, who cares?
What do you mean? Who cares? You're not even. I don't know. It just seems
What's
like
a petty attachment to like who you were as a
just
child?
petty attachment to like continuing to live.
People like legacies,
It's pretty
man.
great, man. You get to like drink coffee and like
Well,
know,
what's the
go on
alternative to
dates and
life,
sleep
though?
in
It's-
occasionally.
It's nothing. It ultimately comes down to fear of the unknown. I mean, personally, this is getting a little bit tangential because we're supposed to talk about AI, but I would like to have the opportunity to end my own existence. I don't like the idea that I could walk out in the street tomorrow and get hit by a car, I could get cancer or something, or whatever. I like the idea where, hey, I'll live, I don't know, let me live forever and I'll just hit this button here when I want to die. Will I ever hit the button? Maybe, but at least I'd be under control. I don't like the idea that it can kind of like can just come like that and all of a sudden you're dead. Every
I mean,
single-
I-
Digital
I
existence
don't like.
would.
Yeah, I don't like the idea that you can suffer for no reason. But I guess I'm completely okay with just dying for no reason. Like
Well,
Would you
that
really
has to
be
be
okay though if you were diagnosed with a terminal illness tomorrow? Would you really be feeling like
I mean, like here's what I mean. I mean, like I think it'd be a much greater tragedy if I got hit with a car tomorrow and got paralyzed for the rest of my life rather than if it just finished the job right out the gate.
I mean,
I don't know.
that would be a tragedy nonetheless.
Well, sure.
Which means
Sure.
Ryan's saying you can escape that tragedy.
No, yeah. I mean,
Go on the net.
yeah, we could basically upload you into a real life version of the Matrix where
Now, that
you
would be
would
pretty
never
cool.
die. But what if someone decides to put a different zombie program on yours and have zombies chase you around all day or
that
something?
sounds
And we
pretty
could-
fun. I'm a curious human, Ryan. I kind of like the idea of running from zombies in a virtual reality world.
they hijack into your computer program and all you feel is nothing but pain and suffering for eternity. Like it sounds like a doom metal song.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking.
Wow.
That's pretty fucked up. So I don't know. I guess I'm pretty optimistic about this technological singularity coming. I think that computers are going to get pretty damn impressive. I think they're going to be smarter than men by the time I'm dead, and I think that we're going to get many great benefits out of it, and that nobody will abuse the power. That's what I believe.
I mean, I've become more optimistic from this conversation. Originally, I started as like, yeah, this is going to be bad. But that slight chance that that the super intelligent robots will just meditate all the time and just do nothing. Sounds that deep contemplation. That just sounds amazing.
Deep contemplation, yeah, and then they can render it into binary code.
There is
I'll
hope.
understand it. I don't know. I think this was a good start to the podcast. What do you viewers think? That's right. You can't respond.
Oh, they can send us an email.
CuriousHumanPodcast@gmail.com. CuriousHumanPodcast@gmail.com. And you can send us any questions, comments, or whatever, and we'll try to read them on the air and respond.
I mean, do you guys really think that after we devoted the whole podcast to this, do you guys really think this is going to be any different than technological innovations of the past, or does it just come down to like humans controlling the technology and what we choose to do, and go develop yourself rather than worrying about what the masters of Mara are going to do?
It's predicated on the idea that the machines will have so much intelligence they'll be choosing how they evolve rather than us choosing how they evolve.
Yes.
And ultimately, if they do evolve in a way that is progressively more faster than we think they will, then ultimately they will have control. So we reign supreme on the planet now, but our machines could eventually control us. And I guess I'm okay with that, believe it or not, if they're able to make a better system than we currently have and alleviate some suffering in the world and make, I have no problem with creating a technological god as long as it is benevolent.
I mean, honestly, as a race, as an individual, I don't want to be killed out by the machines. But, in the grand cosmic scheme of things, if we did give birth to a race of machines that were, like, super intelligent and had consciousness, and they snuffed us out and became the next glorious masters of Earth, and they ruled for millions of years, I think that'd be, like, a great role to play in history, right? Like, wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be pretty intense.
Wouldn't it do an honor to our race to be the people that created this machine empire?
I suppose so.
Yeah, so it's glorious. It's glorious.
Maybe some will look at it as an ignorant move, and some will look at it as a glorious one.
If it actually happens, nobody would view. I guess there could be some machine scholars there, like thinking about how they shouldn't have snuffed out all the humans and how it's
sort of like the Indians.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay, so I don't know, boys. I ain't got nothing else to say about this. I guess I'm very optimistic.
Well, I have another idea, and this is maybe a bit off topic, but it could already be that the machines were already created, and that we just don't know it. We're either locked in some sort of simulation from an advanced alien species that the singularity happened like a long time ago.
Well, if we are in the Matrix, that means the machines are probably pretty benevolent because they could have put us in a lot worse scenario than I am right now. I'm drinking a beer, sitting around here on Wi-Fi in America, I got a good haircut, fucking ripped. I'll tell you one thing, if these machines wanted to really punish us, they could have had us living in the sewers and eating like rats and shit.
Well, they did kind of fuck us over for a long time. Human existence was pretty damn miserable, man. Think about all the animals out there, too.
Man, that never happened. The machines just programmed us to think that happened.
Oh, yeah, false history.
Dude, this is like solipsism.
No, this is worse than solipsism because this is completely unfounded. But yeah, no. In any event, I don't know. If I was smoking a lot more weed, maybe I'd think it was real. Maybe it's going on. But anyway, in all seriousness, boys, I'm looking forward to the future. I hope we can develop a machine that can outthink me at everything, because then I can finally ask it some questions that I want the answers to.
Yeah, that would be a beneficial aspect is if you did have a personal assistant in your cell phone, kind of like they had in the movie Her, but it was more intelligent than you were. It would be a very interesting resource because, most times I talk to people and they're kind of dumbasses. It'd be nice to talk to someone that had like an IQ about 50 points higher than me, so I could get some guidance.
I feel really dumb.
Yeah, I would probably feel. People's self-worth is probably going to plummet when. A lot of people's entire identity is tied into the fact that they're good at their job and they're good at this or that. That's all going to fucking go out the window in like 50 years.
Damn robots took my job.
I don't know. I hate to keep bringing it back to the chess thing, but I will one more time, Just because humans can't beat computers at chess anymore, doesn't mean that humans don't enjoy playing chess with each other. So if you have a skill that you're really good at for a human, even after your job's been outsourced to machines, you can still do carpentry in your garage for fun and sit in some half-ass chairs, compared to what the machines make.
Pay for custom non-robot
You're
carpentry.
not getting-
I mean, yeah,
I didn't say
the
you were getting
value
paid.
system's going to have to move away from productivity for determining your own self-worth. People are going to maybe, hopefully, ideally, sort of like have a Marxist society where everyone becomes writers or painters and experiences the arts and philosophizes. I don't know if that'll happen. We'll probably all just
We've
be
already moved away
jacking
from
off into
productivity.
fleshlights
We
with
have,
our
but-
robot sex slaves, and people will just become ultimately lazy, just pleasure-seeking drones who just inject themselves with all sorts of like pleasure-seeking chemicals, fucking everything that moves, and sort of just going out in an orgy of pleasure.
Okay, that's a
I
good.
think we
that's
should
a great
end it on
note.
that note.
Yeah, I agree.
All
Should,
right.
should we like do some
Let's talk about drugs.
ape noises or something to close us off since we're rebranding this as a Curious Monkey? Is that what we should do? Like some ape stuff, like as we fade out.
We could, because guess what? I already have all that shit. It's lined up.
Oh,
Do you?
shit.
Sort of. I don't know if I'm going to put them in or not. I'll let you listen to them
You
later.
totally should.
No, just play it right now, man. Just play it.
Yeah.
No, I'll have to add it in at the end of the video.
Oh, okay. Well, so anyway, I guess our listeners are going to hear it before I hear it, huh?
Well, I'll put it in at
Hilarious.
the end of this video, but I don't know. Originally, it was I composed this piece, right? But it was originally composed for an all-technology type podcast, and since that's not going to be all of our topics, I don't know if I want to play it on every one.
I was just picturing like some zoo noises, like some monkeys hooting and jeering at each other.
Okay, well, what it really is like a dial-up. It starts off as a dial-up modem, and like monkeys and drum beats and stuff, and then it turns into like bombs and planes and people talking, and then it ends in an explosion. It's supposed to represent sort of the human evolution through space-time, and then the inevitable
Dude, that shit's crazy as
death
fuck.
of the universe.
I mean,
like the
the
wall.
ending seems kind of cynical, but whatever, roll it. Maybe we'll create multiple versions so that some of them really end cynically and some of them end like with a perfect paradise world. Like people talking about philosophy.
Yeah,
and
monks chanting and
yeah. Okay, this is good.
So here's to a
Alright.
better future. Let's just.
fresh fruit
I don't think
dropping.
it's anything that we can worry about individually. Let's just sit back and enjoy the ride. If you want an optimistic look, check out the book "The Singularity Is Near" by Ray Kurzweil. It's a really good read. It'll make you feel like this is awesome, but he's very optimistic. So, all right, thanks for listening. CuriousHumanPodcast@gmail.com. So hit us up there. Thanks.
Dude, what's the webpage, dude?
Oh yeah, webpage CuriousHuman.com.
Heyo.
CuriousHuman.com. Check that out. Sounds
Yeah.
great.
Indeed. Peace.